In this example here, we have the observed value here, and what we're going to find out is the chi-square statistics. And in order to calculate the chi-square statistics, what we need to do is set up the expected table, expected frequency table, and then we're going to also set up the table where we're going to calculate the chi-square value through the observed minus the expected square divided by the expected. So we have two more tables that we need to create. So first table is the observed, and what we need to do is we need to get the total. We need to get the row total, and then we need to get the column total and the sample size. And how we do that is we use the equal sum formula. We add those two up, and we'll get 120 for female, and then same for the male, it's 180, and then same for the column. We have the left hand and right hand, so what we do is equal sum, left hand 36, and then we have right hand is 264, total is your 300. So all these by using the formula equal sum that we have learned before, equal summation formula is what we're going to use to get the row total, and then to get the column total, and then the sample size. Using the formula equal sum. Once we have the total for the column and the row and the sample size, what we're going to do is calculate the expected frequency for each of them. This one you have to do it one by one. So for the female left-handed, what we're doing is we're taking the column is 36, we times it by your row is 120 divided by 300. So that's why we have B12 times D10 divided by D12. So column times row divided by the total sample size. And then we have to do it 4 times because we have 4 cells. So for the female right hand, same idea. We take the 264 times it by 120 divided by your 300. So column times row divided by total sample size. Male, same idea. Male left-handed, 36 times 180 divided by 300. And the same idea for the male right hand. So 264 times 180 divided by 300. Once we have the expected frequency, then what we need to do is to calculate the observed minus the expected square divided by the expected. And this is going to be used to calculate the chi-square statistics. So for female left hand, what we have is equal open bracket. We have the female left hand observed is 12, so we put the 12 minus your expected is your 14.4, so your B10 minus your G10. G10 is your 14.4. We close the bracket, and then we square it. Square it is to the power of 2, so hat 2. And then we divide it by the expected. Expected is your 14.4, so 14.4 is just your G10. So this is this formula that you need to set up. And once you set up this formula, what is good is that once you set up this formula, you can use Excel to replicate it. And how we can replicate it is we're going to go to the bottom right corner. You see the black cross, so you drag it over to the right, and then it will replicate the formula for you. So now for the female right hand, what we have is C10, which is the 108, minus the H10, which is the 156.6 square, and then divided by H10. So for the female right hand, what we have is C10, which is the 108, minus the 105.6, which is your H10 square, divided by H10, which is the 105.6. And then we can replicate it again by dragging it down. So we highlight those two cells, bottom right corner, see the black cross, we drag it down. And then now we have the male replicate it as well. So the key here is to set up the formula once. Once you set up this formula once, observed minus expected square divided by the expected. Once you set this up once, and then you can replicate it in Excel by dragging it. That's the key that you need to know. Right now there's only 4 cells, but if you have more cells, if you have like 20 cells, 30 cells, then setting up in Excel will make a big difference and it will save you a lot of time. Once we have calculated these 4 values, then what we're going to do is we're going to use equal sum to calculate the chi-square statistics. So what we're going to do is equal sum, and we highlight these 4 values, and then we close the bracket, we press enter, and this is our chi-square statistics. And that's how you calculate chi-square statistics in Excel. Once we calculate the chi-square statistics, then we can move on to part D, which is stating the conclusion. So we can compare chi-square statistics with critical. So chi-square statistics, we calculated it with 0.7576. We need to calculate chi-square critical. So chi-square critical is chi-square.inv.rt. I'll ask you for 2 variables. Alpha is your probability, and degree of freedom 1. And for the degree of freedom, how you get the degree of freedom is row minus 1 times column minus 1. And since we have 2 rows and 2 columns, so that's why we have 2 minus 1 times 2 minus 1, that gives you the 1. And that's your degree of freedom. Once we put that into Excel, chi-square.inv.rt, we're going to get 3.84. So we know that chi-square statistics is less than your chi-square critical, so therefore do not reject H0, accept H0. What we're accepting is that pi1 equals to pi2. Sometimes you'll be asked to calculate the p-value as well. P-value is chi-square.dis.rt, and they'll ask you for two variables, which is the chi-square statistics, so 0.7576, and then the degree of freedom, which is the 1. And that if you put that into Excel, you're going to get 0.3841. So those are the two values that you need to calculate with Excel, is chi-squared.dis.rt for the p-value, and then chi-squared.inv.rt for the critical. And that's chapter 12.